Cuba, it's me. Welcome to episode 200 of the W.I.L.L.I.W show, which stands for Wrestling is Life. Life is Wrestling. That's right, I finally made it to episode 200. I had a lot of things planned. I was going to do another, like a clip of all the W.I.L.L.I.W episodes, and then I had some other ideas. But you know what? Sometimes it's good for the soul just to have a good old vent. And so, anyway, I just wanted to say when I started this show, I wanted it to put over Ontario wrestling, to put over the veterans that paved the way for us. Because to me, it seems like the people that have been doing it a long time don't get any respect anymore. It seems like the young wrestlers, and I know it sounds funny, the old guy always talking about the young guys, but they just seem so entitled. Like, oh, we're on the same level. I've wrestled 3 matches, and now I'm just as good as you. I don't need to shake your hand. And I'm not just talking about me, it's how I witness people treat other legends that I have so much respect for. And it's just crazy. Like, I used to always on Friday or Thursday, I would talk about the weekend events that were coming up on Ontario, and I'd put over all the feds, because I don't have hate. But I find people do have hate. People don't want to support each other. And it just seems crazy, because it's like, people always talk bad about each other behind their backs and then they're phony to their face. But really, why do you not want to put over each other? If you talk down about somebody and then you're wrestling him and you beat him, then you just beat a loser. But if you big somebody up and then you beat somebody, you know what I mean? Like, people always want to, they don't want to support. I found even with my videos, people will private message me and say, hey, that was a good idea for that video that you did today. You can't put it on Facebook for everybody to see it. You don't want to say something nice to me where the public can see it. You'd rather do it in a private message. That makes me upset, because it's like, if some of these people that said that, if they put, hey, good video, Elian, then other people would say it and say, hey, so-and-so thinks it's a good video. But a lot of times I get private messages. Hey, I like the topic that you did today for your video. But you can't say that on Facebook or even click like, or like, it's almost like people are guilty by association. If they say they like one of my videos, and then 3 weeks down the road, I do another video talking about something they don't agree with, then they're like, oh no, I liked one of his videos 3 weeks ago. Oh, now everybody thinks I'm like best friends with him, and like that kind of people are petty in the wrestling business, very petty. But I always wanted it to be positive, and then I thought, you know what, to get views, maybe I'll start to ruffle a few feathers. And I only ever did that once. I talked about the creepy photographer guy, and I talked about Zach's show, which I do have a lot of love for Zach, but I needed someone, and I figured he was really on the up and up of social media, so if I basically took some of his shine away, then people would jump on the bandwagon. But people do not want to support. I get it. I'm not even just saying for me. I get it. People don't want to watch a show about some guy that most people don't even know, who flew under the radar for so long. But the other people that are doing stuff, like some of the young, hungry upper-comers that are doing everything right, that are going to the seminars, that are trying to get better, that are going to multiple wrestling schools, that are going and helping with the ring and trying to get on, people won't even support them. Like, it's crazy to me. And then, like I said, that they won't have any respect for the veterans that paved the way for them. It just seems like they're like, oh, I'm a wrestler, and like it drives me nuts too. Oh, you could do some of the moves, so you're a wrestler, but you can't sell, and you're not playing any kind of character. Like, you don't have to be a character to get over, but you have to have some kind of presence. You have to be able to connect with the fans. Like, for me, like Josh Alexander is probably the best wrestler in Ontario, in my opinion. He doesn't have a character, but he connects because his work is that good. Unless you're as good as a worker as him, you need to find something that sets you apart and is different. And I get it. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. They're like, oh, like, he's so crappy. Look at his crappy outfit. He comes out trying to be silly and no one likes it. You know what, though? I get kids coming up to me and saying, you're my favorite wrestler. And to me, that makes it all worth it, because we can't have every match being the same. You have to appeal to everything. And I used to do these crazy hardcore matches, and now my body, like, I don't get enough credit. And you know why? That's why I did this show. I'm taking my own credit, because you know what? People don't ever want to give anybody props. That's what I wanted to do with the show. I made lists of like top wrestlers in Ontario's social media, top veterans, like that kind of stuff. And I like always just wanna big up people that I look up to, that I respect, and like, but like I know I get it. I'm not somebody's cup of tea, but I tried to evolve. I tried to do something different that would prolong my career. But then you also get the guys saying, "Well, you're just a weekend warrior. You only wrestle once or twice a month." Well, yeah, okay, you wrestle 11 times a month, but don't you still work a shoot job too? So you're so much better than me? Or maybe you're just better at ass kissing. Like I'm not saying that about anybody. A lot of these guys, they get booked a lot because they're very good. And that's true. But a lot of them, it's just reputation too. It's like, oh, so-and-so is sucking up to this guy. So that means, oh, I have to suck up to them, but they don't even see for themselves. They don't even judge for themselves. Like, some of these wrestlers, Ontario legends, that are working every weekend, and I'm not saying they're not good. They're very good. But I just mean, there's other people that may be just as good, but they don't get the attention, or they don't get the shot. There's wrestlers out there that are so good, and I'm not talking about me. Obviously, I'm not talking about myself. I'm not the type to really say anything great about myself. If other people have something good to say, they'll say it. But I'm not talking about myself. I'm not at that point. I'm winding down in my career. But I mean, there's a few guys, 2 or 3 guys that, to me, are on the cusp of it. They're on the verge. They have a presence. They wrestle good matches. They should be on the main event, but they're not getting booked everywhere for some reason or another. Maybe they're not ass kissing, or maybe, I don't know. Everything's politics too. Like, oh, I know you're friends with this guy in this promotion, and I don't like him, so I'm not gonna book you. It's like, who said anything that we were together? I'm just wrestling on his promotion. Does that make me a bad person for trying to get work? Like, everybody says, oh, you should try and get in front of the crowd as much as you can. You need as much experience as you can. But then as soon as you wrestle for a promotion that this promotion isn't a friend of, or they're in the same city or something else or like that, oh, they won't book you because wrestlers are petty. And I get it. We're all marks for ourselves. I am. Everybody's a mark for themselves. That's why we get into this. But no one is going to discredit me. 30 years wrestling has been my life, my passion. So I get it. Only 6 to 20 people a day want to hear me talk about wrestling. That's fine. That's great. I appreciate those 6 to 20 people because there's people that support me. Lefty will share my post every day. There's 4 or 5 people that'll watch the show every day, and I really do appreciate those people. Don't get me wrong. I know I'm sounding like a different Elian here, but sometimes when you're sick and you got all this rage built up and you don't feel well and you have a crappy day at work, and most people just take my kindness for weakness. And I just try and kill them with kindness. That's my motto. Constantly kill them with kindness. They may say something you don't like, just smile in their face, say, yep, alright, sounds good, man. Blah, like, people will come up and give me advice for wrestling. Like, oh, I didn't ask for your advice. Who made you a way better wrestler than me that you can go and give me advice? But you know what? I generally like to listen because everything they say I may not agree with, but there might be one thing that I'm like, yeah, you're right. That at least they're trying to help. But it's constantly a battle of trying to make yourself feel better than another wrestler. I find that too. When I get together with the wrestlers, we'll be talking wrestling, and then something will come up and be like, oh, so-and-so, he sucks. And you know what? I'm guilty of it too. And then it makes me feel better. I don't know about other people, but it makes you feel like, oh, if you're saying so-and-so sucks, well, that doesn't include you. So that means you don't suck because you're sitting with 2 or 3 other wrestlers and you're talking about how much so-and-so sucks. But obviously, they're not talking about you because you're included in this conversation. And what generally makes people sucks? Every wrestling fan has a different opinion of what wrestling they like. Like I always said, my favorite match was Undertaker and Jake Roberts at WrestleMania 8. Was it the best match? Probably not. Was it great, technically sound, told a good story, anything? No. But to me, it was the best match. It was the 2 people I was invested in the most, that I cared about. That's why it was the best match to me. And sometimes I'll get kids that say, you had the best match. And I'll go home kicking myself thinking, no, it was a horrible match. That was like one of the worst matches I ever wrestled. But this little kid just said to me, I loved your match. it made me so happy, or you did that one move and it was so silly and it made me laugh. So people gotta stop thinking that there's only one right way of doing stuff. There's lots of different ways, and that's why the good promotions have a little bit of everything, because they know not everyone's going to want to see a 5-star match with 75 false finishes, although a lot of people do. So you make sure you have a match like that on your card. Some people want comedy. Some people want big, strong, tough guys that look like wrestlers. Whether they can work or not, they're still believable because they have that presence. They're big and they're strong, and they could really beat you up in an alley, even if they're not so good at throwing the moves as well as some of the other guys. You know, like, it just seems petty. I love that word. I love petty, because a lot of the stuff I took was from the podcast by Nori, Drink Champs. And he says rappers are always petty and they don't want to big each other up. And it goes true for wrestling too. People don't want to support each other. And it's like, you know what? I get negative like that too. I'm like, so-and-so will send me a notification. It's like, please like my page. And I'm like, I ain't liking your page. You never support it. I've done 200 videos in 200 days. And you never once clicked like on it or commented on it. Yet you want me to support your thing? And to the people that do support me, I always support them back. Whether I agree with what it is or not. Because I appreciate them. But you know what? That's wrong of me. I should always support other people. Why does it have to be, oh, you didn't support me, so I won't support you? Maybe if I supported them, then they would support me. And I do this just for fun. I love talking about wrestling, and it was also to help me. One, I broke my ankle. I needed a creative outlet. And two, I needed to bust out of my shell. I'm too shy. It was very scary for me to talk in front of a camera. It's not so much talking in front of the camera. It's knowing that this is going out in public and a lot of people could view it. But you know what? I just said, you know what? Like my last video, suck it up, Sally. Just go for it. And then I get a lot of people that are telling me, well, I have this great idea. Why don't you do this on your show? Or why don't you do that on your show? And you know what? I appreciate them with their things, but it's like, you know what? Why don't you do your own show too? I'll support it. Like, you have a lot of good things to say. You're always commenting on my videos. Why don't you do a show? Like a lot of people have a lot of good things to say, and some people are right and some people are wrong, but everybody's opinion is different, and I'm just really proud of myself for doing this and sticking to my guns. And there's a couple people that are giving me the credit, but you know what? That's it. I'm gonna take the credit because I don't know. I feel I deserve it. I've done a show every day for 200 days in a row, so there we go. Who knows what's going to happen from here? I really like doing the interviews. I don't like the shows being about me. I love doing the interviews and finding out other people's stories. I've reached out. Hopefully there'll be more interviews later. And I love when I pose a question on Facebook and then I talk about it on my video. And sometimes the video only gets 5 views, but sometimes like 30 or 40 people comment on it. And I love that. I love hearing people's perspectives, or just the fact that they're willing to like comment on my thing, and maybe it kind of like gives me a bit of a rub, like, oh, because some people are like, oh, he's beneath me, I'm not commenting on his video. But aren't we all equals? Just because you did more matches than me, or you wrestled in different cities than me, or you made more money than me in wrestling, am I not an equal because I'm not everyone's cup of tea? Well, that's fine. But for me, I'm going to treat everyone as equal. When I wrestle a young wrestler, I always give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, what do you want to do? And then I find out what they want to do, and then after I'll be like, oh, you know what, that didn't really work, because I'm not afraid of getting embarrassed anymore. I used to be so hard on myself and be so worried about getting embarrassed. Now it's like, you know what? When I go home, I have a smiling cameraman that I love to be around. Wrestling is not the most important thing. It is second. The cameraman is first, wrestling is second. So no matter how bad of it, like this past weekend, I wasn't that happy with my performance. But now, 4 days later, you know what? I had a great week and I loved my matches, because not everything's perfect, but what is a perfect match? So this has been episode 200 of The W.I.L.L.I.W Show. It's a good event sometimes. For the people that do watch it, I'm sorry you had to watch that, but maybe you enjoyed that. Maybe you agreed with some things I have to say, maybe you didn't. But as always, on The W.I.L.L.I.W Show, like, or you get a leg drop, comment, or you get a clothesline, subscribe, or you get a suplex. I'm your host, Elian Habanero. I love wrestling. Cuba.